Hi Andy, good morning. So sorry for late.
Good morning.
So as part of yesterday's session, we discussed about what all are the different types of arguments we are having, and we discussed about lambda functions, and we discussed about exception handling, and we discussed about find, read, and write operations. So these all are the different topics we covered as part of our yesterday's session. Now today we'll start with a new topic called as Pandas. Okay. So actually, I'm able to say Pandas is one of the module in Python. And by using Pandas, what we can do here is we can able to perform different kind of operations on top of the data. So on top of data, we can able to perform different kind of operations by using the Pandas. So we can able to read the data and we can able to manipulate the data and we can able to analyze the data. So like this, we can able to perform different kind of operations on top of the Pandas only. So Pandas is nothing but it's one of the module we are having in the Python. By using the Pandas, we can able to perform different kind of operations on top of our data. So as part of real time, we are going to work on the data. So that's the reason if you are having knowledge on the Pandas, with the help of the Pandas, what we can do here, we can able to perform different kind of operations on top of the data. We can able to analyze the data. We can able to read the data. We can able to manipulate the data. Like that, we can able to perform different kind of operations on top of the Pandas. And here, if you want to work on Pandas, we need to install Pandas module. So earlier we installed the Python. So within the Python, Pandas is one of the module we are having only. So if you want to work on the Pandas, what we need to do here, we need to install the Pandas. With that only we can able to work on the Pandas module. Now, for example, if you want to do work from the notebook, then we need to install Pandas from notebook or from command prompt. So if you want to do the practice on top of Pandas from the notebook, then we need to install the Pandas from the notebook or we need to install the Pandas from the command prompt. For example, if you want to do the practice from the pie chart, then we need to install Pandas from pie chart itself. So from the pie chart itself, what we can do here, we can able to install the Pandas only. Now, anyhow, we are working with the pie chart. So we'll try to understand how we can able to perform the installation by using the pie chart. For example, if you want to do it from the notebook or if you want to do it from the command prompt only, simply we can able to give the command like this, pip install. You have to give the Pandas. This is the command we need to use. If you want to install from the if you want to install from the notebook or if you want to install from the command prompt, then we can able to give the command called as pip install Pandas. This is the command. If you are facing any kind of access issues only, just give it as like this. Pip install Pandas space -- user. If you are getting any kind of access issues, then you have to specify the -- user. Otherwise, directly we can able to give it as a pip install Pandas. But when we need to perform this operation, if you want to do the practice from the notebook or if you want to do the practice from the command prompt, in that situation, we need to give the command called as pip install Pandas -- user. But for example, if you want to perform the practice from the pie chart itself only, then what we can do here is, please open your pie chart. Please open pie chart. In the menu bar, go to File. Within the pie chart, in the menu bar, go to File. Within the file, go to Settings. Within the file, go to Settings. Okay. After that, if you see here, we can able to see the search bar. In the search bar, search for interpreter. Just to search for interpreter. In search bar, please search for interpreter. Once you are going to search for interpreter, here you can able to see one option called as a Python interpreter. You can able to see project name. This is your project name, Andy. Under the project name, you can able to see the Python interpreter. Please click on that. In the menu bar, go to file, then go to settings. After that, here please search for the interpreter. With that, you can able to see the Python interpreter. Here you can able to see your project name. Under the project name, you can able to see the Python interpreter. Now please click on the plus button. Here you can able to see option called as a plus button. Please click on that. Please click on plus button. After that, here search for Pandas. Click on plus button, then search for Pandas. So once you are searching for the Pandas, here you can able to see the Pandas package, Andy. So please select the Pandas package, then click on install package. Please select Pandas here. After that, please click on install package. So this is the way we can able to install the required packages on the PyCharm, Andy. From the command prompt or from the notebook, if you want to install, we are given the command called as a pip install command. But within the PyCharm, if you want to perform the installations, what we can do here, simply we can able to go to the settings. In the settings, search for the interpreter, then click on the plus button. There you can able to search for the Pandas. Once you are searching for the Pandas, you can able to see the Pandas package. Select the package. Click on install package. So with that, you can able to install the Pandas. So it will take 2-3 minutes of time. Please wait for 2 minutes. Actually, below you can able to see the status, and here you can able to see the status whether your package is installed or not. Actually, some time back I installed one of the package called as a Google Cloud Storage. It is showing that package installed successfully. This is the package name. Now you are installing the Pandas package. After 2-3 minutes, you can able to see the message package installed successfully. Installed package name is nothing but Pandas. That kind of message you can able to see on top of your PyCharm console.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. In settings, how do I come to Pandas, sir? I can't see interpreters.
So go to the file settings, search for interpreter. Just give the inter or interpreter complete name only. If you are given the inter, then you can able to see the Python interpreter like this. Under your project name, you can able to see the interpreter. Please click on that. Then please click on plus button. Anyone facing the issue? Offline people? Online people? Anyone else facing the issue?
Yes, through search it is not coming, sir.
Your voice is very low, Andy. Can you please speak a bit loud?
Through search it is not coming, so manually I went.
Through search. So instead of giving the might be you are given the spelling mistake, Andy. Just give it as an enter. With the enter also you can able to get that info. See, for example, for any reason, if you are not seeing that, manually also you can able to go, Andy. So under the version control, you can able to see the project, your project name. Within that, you can able to see the Python interpreter. So with that, you can need to click on the plus button, then search for Pandas, then click on install package.
Sir, I'm getting error occurred while installing package Pandas.
What's the error?
Also get command prompt, sir.
What is the error?
That is the error it's showing, sir. It's in red color.
Okay, we'll check after the class only.
Okay.
Anyone else facing the issue? It's a
So it's
straightforward
showing
installation.
successfully installing.
Yeah, that's perfect, Andy.
So then we need to click on apply, sir, or okay?
You click on apply or okay, anything is fine.
The command prompt to successfully install when then what command?
From the command prompt you installed.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, then in the command prompt, please go to your Python. So if you give the Python, it will open the Python prompt.
Okay.
Okay, so straightforward installation. Just to search for Pandas, then click on install package. So with that, you can able to install your Pandas.
Sir, we could see other things like Pandas AWS, Pandas Cargo.
No, don't go for all those things. Only search for only Pandas and select only Pandas and click on install package for only Pandas.
I want to know what is those things.
Sorry?
What are those things? Pandas LI, and Pandas, what are those?
Yeah, by using the Pandas, you can able to connect to the multiple things and so all those are the kind of add-ons on top of your Pandas package. But for now, whatever we are doing, we need to install only Pandas. Those all are not required for us.
Why installing Pandas rather than importing like other pre-built library?
Now, if you want to import the Pandas, so first we have to install the Pandas and without installing Pandas, you cannot able to import the Pandas libraries.
So OS and all other also indirectly installed in it.
No, those are by default coming with the Python. So, but Pandas module is not coming by default with the Python. That's the reason we need to install it separately.
Okay.
Okay, OS module and those modules are coming by default with the Python installation. That's the reason we are not installing the OS module. But coming to Pandas module is not coming by default with the Python installation. For that reason, we need to install the Pandas separately.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
After installation, can I click a OK or apply, sir?
Yeah, you can click on anything and OK or apply, anything is fine.
Okay.
Okay. Now see here, once you completed the installation, just you can able to go to your Python project, just to create a file. How to create the Python new file here? Click on new button, then click on file. Just give some name.py because you want to create the Python script file. And for that reason, if you want to perform the practice on top of the Pandas, please right click on your project name, click on new, click on file. In the file, you can give some name. After that, please give .py. So already we did this activity as part of our yesterday's session. Just we are trying to create a Python script file on top of your PyCharm. For that reason, you have to give the file name .py. Okay. Now, if you observe here, Andy, here I'm showing the some generic example. So when after installation of the Pandas, if you want to work with the Pandas, so first step is nothing but we need to import the Pandas module. So just we have to give it as a import Pandas. So with that, what we are doing here, we are importing the Pandas module on top of your script. Earlier, we did the installation of the Pandas. Now within my script, I want to use the Pandas. For that reason, what I'm doing here, we are giving it as a import Pandas. So with that, we are importing our Pandas module. That is the first step. Now, if you see the second line, what is this? Any guesses? I am given the some sample data set and I'm given the information within the curly braces only. Now, what type of data type it is?
Dictionary.
It's a dictionary only because we are given the curly braces. After the curly braces, if you observe, we are given the key value pair. Again, we are given the key value pair. Whenever we are going to provide the key value pairs, that kind of data type, what we can able to say? That we can able to call it as nothing but our dictionary. Now, instead of given the key value pairs, if I'm given the normal data, that kind of data type, what we can able to call? Instead of given the key value pairs, for example, just I'm giving like this. Now, what we can able to call it as?
Set.
This we can able to call it as a set and whenever we are given the curly braces, by using the curly braces, either you can able to create the set or we can able to create the dictionary. But when we can able to call it as a dictionary, if you are given the key value pairs, then we can able to call it as a dictionary. Indirectly, what I'm doing here, simply I'm creating a dictionary. Here I'm given the key value is nothing but courses and I'm given the value as a GCP, Azure and AWS. And I am given the one more key value called as a jobs. And here I'm given the values as a 30, 20, 10 and so this is the way just I'm passing the key value pairs. With that, I am creating a dictionary. Now, on top of this dictionary, what I'm doing here is I am creating a data frame. Now in the Pandas, or I can able to say by using Pandas, I am creating a data frame on top of dictionary. On top of the dictionary, what I'm doing here, just I'm creating a data frame. Now, before creation of the data frame, first we need to understand what is the meaning of data frame in the Pandas and in the simple words, we can able to say data frame is a kind of table in Pandas, or we can able to say it's a 2D representation of data in Pandas. So here we can able to say data frame is nothing but it's a kind of a table on top of your pandas, or we can able to say it's a kind of a 2D representation of the data in the pandas only. So with the help of the data frame, we can able to see this entire data in the tabular format. But if you want to see this data in the tabular format, what we have to do here, we need to create the data frame object. With the help of the data frame object, we can able to see the data in the tabular format. Actually here, how I'm passing the data? I am passing the data in the dictionary format, or we can able to call it as a key value format. But whatever the data we are giving here, I want to display this data in the tabular format. Whenever you want to see the data in the tabular format in the pandas, what is the object we are going to create? We are going to create the object called as a data frame object. But if you want to create the data frame object in the pandas, we are going to use a method called as a data frame method. So what we are calling here, I am calling pandas module dot. In this pandas module, we are having the method called as a data frame method. Now by using this method, what I'm doing here, I am creating a data frame. Now you tell me, you are creating a data frame, that is fine. But if you want to create the data frame, what is required? Data is required. Now where we are having this data, this entire data we are having in the dictionary. That's the reason I am passing that dictionary as input to the data frame method. Indirectly, we are using the pandas module. I am giving pandas dot data frame. Data frame is nothing but this is the one of the method we are having in the pandas. Now what is the purpose of this method? By using this only, you can able to create the data frame. But for this method, what is the input we need to pass? We need to pass the data. Now we are having all the data in the dictionary format, and we are having this data in the sample data set, or we can able to call this is the dictionary. This dictionary we are giving input to our data frame method. With that, I am creating a data frame called as a sample data. Now you tell me, once we are going to run this line of the code, what will happen? It will create one data frame called as nothing but sample data frame. In the data frame, we can able to see all this data in the tabular format. Just 1 second. See, I'm running just all these lines of the code.
Is this mandatory to use the dictionary only, sir?
No, we
Is
can give
this
anything.
syntax?
In the first example, just I'm given the dictionary. If you want, we can able to give anything. You can able to give the file names also. We'll go one by one. So in the first example, just I'm given the dictionary. On top of the dictionary, I am trying to create the data frame. In the coming examples, we can able to see how to read the data from the file. On top of the file, how we can able to create the data frame. How to read the data from the JSON file. On top of the JSON file, how we can able to create the data frame. All those examples will go one by one only. But in the first example, what I'm doing here, I am creating a data frame on top of the dictionary. Now, if you observe here in the dictionary, what we are having the key value pairs. Now, whatever the keys we are having, if you observe, those keys are becoming as nothing but your column names, and whatever the values we are passing, those values are becoming as nothing but your rows. Now, if you observe, this is the data in the which format? Indirectly, this is the data in the tabular format. How this data is converting into tabular format? Because of using the method called as a data frame method. Indirectly, by using the data frame method, we are creating an object called as a data frame. And what is the purpose of the data frame? In the pandas, if you want to see the data in the tabular format, then we are going to create the data frame, and on top of data frame, we can able to see the data in the tabular format. Now in this example, to create the data frame, we are using the dictionary as an input. On top of the dictionary, we are going to create the data frame. For that reason, in the dictionary, whatever the keys we are having, those keys are becoming as a column names. Whatever the values we are passing, those values are becoming as a rows. This is the way simply we can able to understand by using the pandas how we can able to create the data frames. Try to understand each and every line. And first line, I am importing pandas module. Coming to second line, just I am creating a dictionary with the key value pairs. After that, I am creating the data frame. For the data frame, what is the name I am giving? I am giving the name as a sample data. To create the data frame, we are using the method called as a data frame method. Now, from where we are getting this method? From the pandas module, we are getting this method. For that reason, we are giving it as a pandas.data frame. For this method, what is the input we are passing? Whatever the dictionary you created, that dictionary we are giving it as a input. With that, you are creating the data frame. And if you want to see the data in the data frame, simply we are going to give the command called as a print command. With the help of the print command, we can able to see the data on top of your data frame. This is the way we need to understand how we can able to create the data frame with the help of the Pandas. Okay, this is the first example. That's the reason we are creating the data frame on top of the dictionary. In the coming examples, we are trying to understand how to read the data from the file. On top of the file, how we can able to create the data frame. Those examples we are going to cover within few minutes only. But before going to those examples, any question up to on this example, please ask me here. Now, for example, if you are doing the same practice from the command prompt, or if you are going to perform the same practice from the notebook, what we have to do? You need to give individual lines of the code. First, we have to import pandas. After that, you need to give the dictionary. After that, we need to run this line of the code. Then we need to give the print schema. With that, in the notebook or in the command prompt, you can able to run the individual lines of the code only. But in the Python, what we can do here? You can able to write all the lines of the code at a time within the script. With that, just by click on this green button, we can able to run the code. Otherwise, right click on run pandas. With that, we can able to run all the lines at a time. By depending on your convenience, you can able to run the same code from the PyChart, or we can able to run from the command prompt, or we can able to run it from the notebook also, by depending on our convenience. Okay, any questions before going further? Is it clear? Okay. If it is clear, now we need to understand in the pandas, we are having one more concept called as a series. Within the pandas, we are having the one more concept called as a series, and the series is nothing but it's a kind of column in the table. So we can able to say indirectly, series is nothing but it's a kind of a column in the table. Now, if you want to maintain the only column information on top of your table, in the situation, here we can able to use the concept called as a series. Earlier we discussed about the data frame. Data frame is nothing but a table. What is the meaning of table, Andy? It's nothing but rows and columns. Coming to here, series is nothing but it's a kind of only a particular column. Whenever you want to create a particular column by using the pandas, then we can able to use the concept called as a series. Just we'll see practically this one. This is the second example. See, as part of second example, if you observe again what I'm doing, again I'm importing the pandas. But if you observe here, what I'm doing by using the as keyword, any guesses? We are given the alias name. For pandas module, just we are given the alias name is nothing but PD. Earlier what we did, we given the pandas.data frame. Now instead of giving the pandas.data frame, what we can able to do, if you want, we can give simply pd.data frame, and instead of given the complete module name, we can able to apply the kind of a shortcut also. Whenever you want to apply the shortcut after the module name, just to give the as keyword. With the help of the as keyword, what we can do, we can able to give the alias name. Now for this pandas module, we are given the alias name is nothing but PD. Now for example here, I'm giving alias name as here also PD. Now what's the modification we need to perform here? Instead of pandas, just give it as a PD. But tell me, is it mandatory? It's not mandatory, only for simplification of instead of typing complete pandas, and now what we can do, simply we can able to give it as a PD. If you don't want, we can able to give the complete pandas also, no issues. But just I'm showing a shortcut. Whenever you want to replace the complete module name with the shortcut name, simply we can able to give the alias name like this. By using the alias name, we can able to replace the complete module name with the shortcut name. After that, here what I'm doing, what is this? This is the dictionary or set or tuple or list.
List.
Is the list, because we are given the values within the square braces, and whenever we are given the values in the square braces, what we can able to call that, we can able to call it as a list. Now what I'm doing here is, by using this list, I am creating a series or I'm creating a data frame. In the previous example, we created the data frame. Here in this example, just I'm creating a series. But if you observe here, syntax wise, everything is the same. We are giving pd.data frame of our dictionary. Here also we are giving pd.series of our list information. Now with the help of this, what I'm doing here indirectly, I am trying to create a column on top of our table. Now we are giving name as a sample data. We are creating a series. For that series, we are given the name called as a sample data. After that, if you want to see the sample data series, we can able to give it as a print sample data. See, and I'm commenting these lines also. Now see what's happening. Simply we are getting output as in the list, whatever the values we are giving, we are getting the values as a 30, 20 and 10. But if you observe here, for each and every record, it is given the 0, 1 and 2. And what is the meaning of this 0, 1 and 2?
Line
It is
number.
nothing but our index
Series
values
number.
only. For 30, this is the 0 index number. 20, 1 is the index number. For 10, 2 is the index number. We can able to call this is nothing but your index number, or we can able to call it as a series number. But what is our actual values? 0, 1, 2 or 30, 20, 10? 30, 20, 10, these are our actual values, and in the list we are passing all these values. All these values are populating into a single column on top of our output. For every value, it is assigning a index number, or we can able to call it as a series number. Now, for example, my requirement is out of all these three values, I want to access only particular value. Then what I can do? If you observe here. Now see what's the difference between previous print statement and this print statement. I'm giving sample
Index.
data of 0. 0 is nothing but I want to retrieve only the 0 index value, or I want to retrieve the 0 series value only. So whenever you want to retrieve a particular series value, or whenever you want to retrieve particular index value, what we can do here on top of series, just we can able to assign the series number, or we can able to give the index number. With that, you can able to fetch the particular value on top of your output. Just we'll try to run this line of the code. Now see what's happening. We are getting the only value as a 30 because we are fetching a particular series value by depending on the requirement, by giving it as a index number or by giving it as a series number. If you want to get all the values, then what we can do here, instead of giving the series number, we are given the complete series name and we are given the print sample data. So with that, what will happen? You can able to get the complete series values like this: 0, 1. We are getting 0, 1 and 2, and we are getting values as a 30, 20 and 10 like this. In a particular column, if you want to populate the data as per your requirement in the Pandas, then what we are using here, we are going to use a method called as a series and D. Now one more thing, here we are getting the values as a 0, 1, 2, but my requirement is instead of getting the default values as a 0, 1, 2, for every index value, I want to specify a name. For example, here I want to get GCP, here I want to get AWS, here I want to get, for example, Azure. Like that, instead of getting the 0, 1 and 2 default values, I want to assign a particular value for each and every index number whenever we are having such kind of requirement. Then we can able to write the code like this. Just observe here what I'm doing. Same program. I am using the list. On top of the list, I'm giving it as a pd.series. Earlier, what we did, Andy? We given the only pd.series of list. If you are given the only list, what's happening? It is taking the values as a 30, 20, 10. Now my requirement is for every index value, which is nothing but instead of getting this 0, 1 and 2, I want to get values as, for example, GCP, Azure and AWS. That is the way I want to define my own index values instead of getting the default values only. Whenever we are having that kind of requirement, then what we can do within this series method, other than passing this list value, we can able to give the one more argument called as a index argument. In this index argument, you can able to specify what values you want to populate instead of 0, 1, 2 only. Here I'm giving, instead of populating 0, 1, 2, I'm giving first value I want to give it as a GCP, second value I want to give it as a Azure, third value I want to give it as a AWS. Like that, I want to override the default values with the hardcode values whenever we are having such kind of requirement. In the same series method, just we are going to pass one more argument called as a index argument. With the help of the index argument, you can able to define your own index values by depending on our requirement. Now just observe. I'm running the code up to here. Now what's happening? Instead of getting the 0, 1, 2, we are getting the values as a GCP 30, Azure 20, AWS 10. Like that, you can able to replace the index values or you can able to replace the series values. How we are performing this operation? We are using the same series method, but in this series method, just we are given the one more argument called as a index argument. With the help of this index argument, you can able to replace our default index values or default series values by depending on our requirement. Now, for example, if I am given the sample data 1, what is happening here? it is giving all the values and but my requirement is I want to see data for only GCP related data. Then what we can do? Earlier what we did, if you want to see the only 0 series value, what we are doing, we are given the series of 0. In the same way, come into here, on top of the sample data 1 series, I want to see data for only GCP, then what we can do? If you see here also we are doing the same thing, but instead of giving the 0, what I'm doing? I'm giving the index value. Now what is the index value? GCP. For that reason, I am giving the GCP here. Just I'm running this. I will comment this line. See, now we are getting the value as a 30. Now, for example, if you don't define the index values, then we can able to give it as a 0, or we can give it as a 1, or we can able to give it as a 2. But in this example, I define the index values clearly. For that reason, if you want to fetch the data, we can able to pass the index values like this. Based on that, you can able to retrieve the particular data by depending on our requirement. This is the way we need to understand how we can able to utilize the series on top of our Pandas and but in general, in the real time, we are not mostly going to use the series and most of the times we are going to use the data frame, but series is the one of the concept we are having in the Pandas. That's the reason I am trying to explain what is the purpose of the series and what operations we can able to perform on top of the series. But if we are going to work in the real-time project, most of the times we are going to create the data frames only on top of our Pandas module. Okay, but any questions on top of this series, please ask me here.
Sir, how this displays in terms of dictionary?
Can you please repeat that?
In terms of dictionary, we use list, right? So in terms of dictionary, how is
Series you cannot series you cannot able to create on top of the dictionary. Series you can able to create only on top of the list. Because if you are going to give the dictionary, what we will do, we are going to give the keys and values also. With the keys and values, if you are giving, it cannot able to create the series. For that reason only, we are creating the series on top of the list here.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Now see. Now here in this example, you can able to see already whatever we discussed in the previous one. And just 1 second, I will comment this one. Now, if you observe again what I'm doing, as part of this example, I am creating the again data frame only. Already we saw this example in the example 1. In the example 1, we created the dictionary. On top of the dictionary, what we have done, we created the data frame. Now, if you want to see the data frame, what we done earlier, just we can able to give it as a print of our data frame name. With that, you can able to see the complete data frame. What is the meaning of data frame, which we already discussed? It's nothing but our table. Table is nothing but it's a kind of a 2D representation of the data, or we can able to call it as a table is nothing but it's a collection of rows and columns. And now here in this example, I am creating a data frame. On top of this data frame, we are going to give the dictionary as an input. With that, we are creating the data frame. Just I'm going to run this. Now see what's happening. We are getting the data in the tabular format. Now my requirement is here. If you observe, we are getting all the values like this, Andy. But I don't want to get all the values. I want to get the only first value. Then what we have to do? Indirectly, I want to retrieve data for only the first row. Very simple. Whenever we are having that kind of requirement, simply we can able to use one more option called as nothing but location and so we are having the small method called as a location method. Now here we need to specify location, which record you want to get the data. So I want to get the 0th record. So we are giving it as a location of 0. If you see, I'm going to run. It will display only 0th index on top of your data. We are getting the course GCP. We are getting jobs 30. This is the information we are having in the first row. That is the reason it is given the data like this. I will run both the lines otherwise. Now see what's happening. This is the output of your print df. What is the meaning of print df? It is displaying the complete data frame and after that I am giving the print df dot location of the 0. What is the meaning of location of the 0 here? It is displaying the only first row. In the first row, what we are having here, we are having the course as a GCP and we are getting the jobs as a 30. Like that, whenever you want to retrieve the particular row from the data frame, then we can able to use the keyword called as a location. After that, you can able to specify the position of the location. With that, you can able to retrieve the only first row. Now, for example, my requirement is I want to retrieve the first row and also I want to retrieve the second row only. Then what we can do? If you see the second example here, I'm giving location of 0, 1. What is the meaning of 0, 1? It will display the first row and also it will display the second row also. Indirectly, you can able to control the number of rows also by depending on our requirement. If you want to retrieve the first row, we have to give it as a 0. But if you want to retrieve the multiple rows, what we can do here? You can able to give it as a 0, 1 or you can give it as a 0, 1, 2. With that, you can able to retrieve the multiple rows on top of your data frame. Just I'm running this. See, we can able to get the data for complete table. After that, we are getting the data for only first 2 rows by depending on our requirement. This is the way by depending on our requirement. Either we can able to get the complete data or we can able to get the data for particular number of the rows by depending on the requirement. Now you tell me, if you want to see the complete table data, what we have to do? We need to give directly print of data frame. Or if you want to see the data for a particular number of the rows, then what we can do here? We can able to use the keyword called as a location keyword. With the help of the location keyword, you can able to display data for only particular number of the rows by depending on the requirement. Now in the same way, just observe here. We are having one more method called as a head. For example, I'm giving head of 2. Now any guesses what will happen if I'm given the head of 2?
First 2 rows.
It will display only the first 2 rows. And for example, in this data frame, you are having 1 lakh records. Out of 1 lakh records, you want to see only first 5 records, or you want to see only first 10 records. And whenever we are having such kind of requirement, then what we can do here? Here we are having the one more method called as a head method. By using the head method, head is nothing but top. You want to get the top records from the data frame. Whenever you want to get only the top records, then we can able to use the method called as a head method. Within the head method, we have to specify how many number of values you want to get from the top records. And here I'm giving the 2. Now see what will happen. Sorry, we need to give print statement. Print of df.head. Now see, it is displaying, actually we are having total 3 number of rows on top of our data. But if you are given the df.head of 2, what will happen? Automatically you can able to get only the 2 rows only. Now indirectly, whenever you want to retrieve the particular number of rows from the data frame, what operations we can able to perform? 1, we can able to use the location. Otherwise, we can able to go for the head. By using any one of the option, we can able to retrieve the particular number of the rows by depending on our requirement. Now, in the same way, I want to retrieve the last 2 rows from the data frame. Then what we can do? Any guesses?
Tail.
Here we can able to give it as a simply tail. So with the help of the tail method, we can able to retrieve the data for last 2 records only. So if you want to get the top 2 records, we can able to go for the head method. But if you want to retrieve data for last 2 records, then what we can do, simply we can able to go for the tail method. Just we'll see that. See, we are getting Azure and AWS first record. So here you can able to see the series also. We are having 0, 1 and 2. What is the meaning of last 2 records? It is given the values for 1 and 2. But if you are given the head, what will happen? It is given data for 0 and 1. Like that, on top of data frame, we can able to perform location operation, or we can able to perform head operation, or we can able to perform tail operation by depending on our requirement. Either we can able to go for head, or we can able to go for tail, or we can able to apply the location. All these are the different methods we can able to apply on top of our data frame. Okay. Again, any questions up to here, please ask me.
Sir, I was few thoughts.
Yeah, please.
In the course and jobs, in the course have values GCP, Azure and AWS.
Okay.
And jobs is 30, 20, 10. Both
Yes.
have 3, 3. If you remove 3 and 2, like when sports has 3 and jobs have 2, in that case it will fail, sir.
Yeah, we'll see. So as I told you earlier, whenever you're getting such kind of questions, you can do all those experiments your own. So coming to your question, just I'm doing like this.
Yes.
If you see, so someone is asking the question, if I'm given the 3 values in the courses, in the jobs, I'm given the only 2 values, what will happen? Just we'll run and check it once. What's happening? All arrays must be of the same length. Here we are given the 3 values in the courses, but coming to jobs, we are given the only 2 values, and indirectly it is not linking the data as part of creation of our data frame. For that reason, what's happening here? It is given the exception. It is nothing but giving it as a value error. This is the one more kind of exception we can able to call. But if you are going to create a dictionary, what we have to do here as part of data frame, in the courses and jobs, we have to give the same number of values. Otherwise, it is throwing this kind of error as part of our program execution. Is it clear?
And sir, how will provide null value, sir?
Sorry, come again.
I don't have to give 10. I will provide the null value.
Yeah, you can give null here. I think you have to give some null. Okay. Now run this, we'll see what will happen. We are getting it as a NaN. NaN is nothing but our none, or we can able to call it as a null value. So it is creating a Pandas data frame, and in the Pandas data frame, null values are representing with the help of the NaN. So this is the way you can able to populate null values. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
So after giving that none, sir, it is changing to float to value. The remaining jobs 30.0.
Yeah, internally is taken by default. The data frame is taking all these values as a float values. If you want, we can define the schema also, that we'll discuss later. Coming to here, by default, it is taking the schema. As part of taking the schema, it is taking all these values as a float values only. Otherwise, what we can do here, as part of creation of Pandas data frame, if requires, we can able to define our own schema. In the schema, you can able to give it as an integer. With that, it will take all these values as the normal values.
Schema means tables,
Schema means nothing but structure.
structure.
So it is taking only column names as a GCP, and it is taking column names as a courses and jobs, right? But on top of these courses, you can able to give it as a integer data type. On top of jobs, you can able to give it as a float data type. That kind of data types also we can able to provide on top of our data frames. Okay. Any other questions?
Regarding this multiple rows, is it compulsory to give double square bracket?
No, can you please repeat the question? I didn't get that.
In terms of multiple rows, dot log, double square brackets you have mentioned, right? So is it necessary?
Yes, necessary, because indirectly here, if you are giving the value like this, what it means indirectly, you are giving the key value. In the value, indirectly, if you observe what I'm giving the value, or I'm giving the list here.
List.
I'm given the list. Okay, with the help of this list only, it is creating the data frame. So we are given the courses as a key value, but when I'm given the value, what I'm doing, I'm passing all the values within the square bracket. Whenever we are going to give the square bracket, what will happen here? It will take it as a list. On top of that, it is going to create the data frame like this. Okay.
No, sir, not that, sir. In terms of
The print
yeah.
df dot location, sir.
Yeah.
There after dot log, you have mentioned double square brackets, right? So I was thinking.
That is by mistake, I mentioned.
That's
I
not a
think.
mistake. I will tell you why I'm given that one. Just 1 second. Okay. So you're asking that here why I'm given the only single square bracket, and here why I'm given the double square bracket, you're asking, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Is it
sir.
necessary?
Yeah. Just observe here what will happen. So if I'm given the single square bracket, what will happen here is, it is given the data like this. Just observe what's happening. We are getting the courses value separately, and we are getting the job value separately. So we are getting courses as a GCP, and we are getting the jobs as a 30.0. This is the output we are getting if I'm given the single square bracket. But if you see, if I'm given the double square bracket, what will happen here is, this data is coming in the tabular format again. What's happening? Here we are getting the data as a courses GCP, then jobs 30.0. But whenever I'm going to give the double brackets, what's happening indirectly here? Again, the data is coming in the tabular format. Again, by depending on our requirement, as part of retrieving the data, if you want to see the data in the tabular format, we can able to give it as a double square bracket. If you are given the single square bracket, what's happening here? It is going to give the data like this, and it is given the column name value. Second column name value. That is the way you are going to get the data. But if you are going to give the double square bracket, what's happening here? It is going to give the data in the tabular format like this on top of your output screen. That is the difference between our single square bracket and double square bracket. Is it clear?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay,
Now,
sir.
for example, here also I am given the double square bracket. Now tell me what will happen. Now instead of getting the courses GCP and jobs 30.0, it is given the data in the tabular format.
form.
See, here also we are getting courses, jobs, we are getting only one record. Because of giving one more print statement, here I given the 0,1. Here we are getting the 2 records only. By depending on our convenience, if you want to see the data in the tabular format, then we can able to give it as a double square bracket. But if you are given the single square bracket, what's happening here? You are going to see the data in the different format. Here we are going to get the data for column name, value. Column name, value. That is the way we are going to get the data if you are going to apply the single square bracket. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, before going further, any other questions up to here? Okay. If no questions, now we'll try to understand how we can able to create the data frame by reading the data from the CSV files. And it's a very simple operation on top of the Pandas. So far, if you want to create the data frame, we are using the data frame method. If you want to create the series, we are using the series method. In the same way, if you want to read the data from the CSV file, or if you want to read the data from the JSON file, for every such kind of operations in the Pandas, again we are having the methods. And if you observe here, so what we are doing, again, first step, obviously you need to import the Pandas module, because here this is the one more example we are discussing. For that reason, here I imported the Pandas module. After that, we are giving what is the method we are using. I want to read the data from the CSV file. Whenever you want to read the data from the CSV file, simply we can able to give it as a pd.read_CSV. And if I'm giving dot, so here, whenever we given the dot, on top of this Pandas, whatever the operations you can able to perform, you can able to see all the list of the operations. And now if I'm typing the read here, now see, with the help of the read, what we can do, you can able to read data from the CSV file or WARC file or Excel or HTML or JSON file or a Parquet file. On top of any file, we can able to perform the read operation. All these are the different methods we are having. No need to remember all the methods. And as part of PyCharm, this is the one of the advantage. Whenever we are given the Pandas dot, automatically what will happen here? It is giving all the list of the methods like this. By depending on our requirement, we can able to select the method, and on top of that, we can able to perform our required operation. Now, what is my requirement here? I want to read data from the CSV file. For that reason, just I'm giving the method called as a read_CSV. With the help of this read_CSV method, I can able to read the data from the CSV file. Now, whenever we are going to use this method, what we need to pass? I need to pass path of the file. Now, in my system, in the D drive, under Qt folder, in Python folder, I am having the file called as customerelbow.csv. See, this is the file we are having. In this file, we are having customer ID, customer name, city, grade, and salesman_ID. And all these are the values we are having. This data we are seeing in the file format on top of your notepad. And now my requirement is, on top of this file, I want to create the data frame. For that reason, what I'm doing here, just I'm going to use the method called as a read_CSV method. By using the read_CSV method, you can able to read the data from the file called as a customer_elbow.csv file. Now, on top of this CSV file, by performing the read operation, I am creating a data frame called as a DF. After creation of the data frame, I want to print the data frame value. So we are giving it as a print DF. Now just run these lines of the code. Now see what's happening. Whatever the data we are seeing in the notepad, same data you can able to see completely in the tabular format like this. We are getting the customer ID values, customer name, city, grade, salesman ID. Like that, you can able to get data for each and every column values, and you can able to get data in the tabular format. Indirectly, this data is coming from the dictionary, or this data is coming from the list, or this data is coming from the CSV file.
CSV.
This data is coming from the CSV file. In the real time, what we are going to do? We are going to work on the dictionaries, or we are going to work on the files. In the real time, we are going to work on top of the files but instead of discussing the topics directly on top of the file, first we discussed about dictionary, we got some understanding. Then we discussed about series by using the list. With that, you got some understanding. Now we are discussing about how to read the data from the file. On top of that, how we can able to create the data frame. But if you observe here, is there any complex activity here? In the Pandas, they are making everything as a very, very simple only thing is nothing but we are going to use the method called as a read_CSV method. With the help of this method, you can able to read the data from the CSV file. Once it is going to read data from the CSV file, on top of that, it is going to create the data frame. And if you want to see the data from the data frame, simply we are giving it as a print of df. Now my requirement is I don't want to see all the values. I want to see only top 3 values. What we can do?
Head.
Just we can able to give it as
head
a
of.
head of 3. So just I will run this now. You can able to get only top 3 values by depending on our requirement. Now I don't want to use the head. I want to go for one more approach. What we can do? Instead of using the head, what's the one more approach?
Location.
df dot location. I'm giving 0, 1, 3. But we need to give the single square bracket or we need to give the multiple square brackets if you want to see data in the tabular format.
Double
We have
square
to give
brackets.
double square brackets.
0, 1, 2.
Yes, my mistake. So if I'm given the 0, 1, 3, what will happen? Will it give any error?
Third.
It will give
No,
the 0th row, first
third
row,
position.
and third row on top of your output. Just will check that what will happen. We are getting output for 0th row, first row, and third row. That is the way you can able to get the data. Either you can able to apply the head or you can able to apply the location function. But in the location function, we are having the flexibility. You can able to specify which rows you want to display by depending on our requirement. But coming to head function, we are not having any such kind of flexibility. And if you are given the head of 3 by default, what will happen? It will give the only top 3 rows on top of your output. But in the location function, we are having the flexibility. You can able to specify which rows you want to display by depending on our requirement. This is the way simply we can able to read the data from the CSV file by depending on our requirement. Okay. Any question on top of reading the data from the CSV file? Please ask me here.
Sir,
Yes,
for
sir.
me, slash is not 1/ is not working, sir. 2/ I have to give, sir, the file name.
If it is not working, you can give the 2 slashes only. That depends sometimes. You are given the double quotes or single quotes?
Single quotes I gave. Both quotes, I'm getting the same error, sir.
Yes, fine. And so far now you can do double quotes, no issues. Okay. Any other questions up to here?
Yeah, for
This
Python,
location.
sorry.
Okay.
Python, as per the data type should be reflected, right, sir? But in the customer ID, it's taking float and grade, it's taking float.
Yeah, comment here, we are using the Pandas or Python. We are using the Pandas only. As part of Pandas, by default, it is considering it as a float value. As I told you earlier, what we can do here, if you want, we can able to define our own schema as part of defining reading the data from the file.
Okay, so in the Pandas also we are using the Python, right, sir? It is
Yeah,
not
internally it is using the Python, but as part of creation of the Pandas, what's happening here? It is creating it as a table. As part of table, it is creating the schema internally. As part of creation of the schema, it is considering all these values as a float values. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yeah, please.
In Python, we are not getting data like tables, right?
Yeah, we cannot
So
able
for
to get the
that-
data in the tabular format. So for that reason only here we are applying the Pandas to get the data in the tabular format. Now on top of this data, you can able to perform some operations also. Either you can able to filter the data or we can able to change the values on top of the data. All those operations we can able to perform. To perform those operations only, here we are using the module called as a Pandas module.
For location, data frame dot location, we earlier we discussed we will get only top 2 or top 2 values, right?
No, it's
But
not.
here we are getting random values also,
No.
right?
But
By
with the
giving.
help of the location, what we can able to specify in the name only, you can able to see the answer only. What is the meaning of location? If you want to fetch any particular location or if you want to fetch any particular rows, then we can able to apply the location. Here, for example, you want to get the only top 2. Then what we can here, we can able to give it as a 0, 1, 2. For example, instead of giving the sequence values and giving the 0, 1, 3, then what will happen here? It is given the 0th row, first row and third row. That is the flexibility we are having on top of your location function. You can able to specify particular location value or particular row value by depending on our requirement. But do we have this flexibility in the head? we don't have that flexibility, but in the location function, you are having such kind of flexibility. Whatever the rows you want to retrieve, you can able to specify those values on top of your location. With that, you can able to fetch the particular rows by depending on our requirement. But if we are given the head or tail, what will happen? Head will give only top values, or tail is going to give the only bottom values. With the help of the head and tail, you cannot able to control particular location values or particular row values by depending on the requirement. But if you are having the requirement to display data for only the particular rows, and in the situation, we can able to use the function called as a location function. Is it clear? Okay. Any other questions up to here? Offline people?
So we are getting
Where we are getting? You are running from the pie chart. Okay. Just one second. Which one you are running? Which command you are running? This one? Okay. Online people, just 1 minute. Offline people are facing one issue. Just 1 second. So online people and offline people. So just to try to do the practice for these two examples, Sandy. So meanwhile, some other people are facing the issue. I will check those issues. So please run these two examples in your system, both online and offline people. Anyone facing issue? Anyone else? Online people are facing any issues? So here one learning only. So actually one of the person trying to run the program, but he is getting the error. Reason for that is he given the file name as a pandas.py. Don't give the name of the script as a pandas, and if you are given the name of the file as a pandas.py, internally it is unable to resolve the file name because of having the name as a pandas. Instead of giving the pandas, you can give it a name as a pandas1 or pandas2, or you can give it as a pandas exercise something. Okay, don't give the direct name as a pandas. Instead of pandas, give the some other naming convention, pandas1 or pandas2 or sample example or example, like that. Try to give the some different naming convention. With that, you can able to perform the practice on top of these examples. If you are given the file name also as a pandas, then what will happen? You will get some different kind of errors.
That is an attributed error, right?
Yes,
I'm also
correct.
getting.
Yes, correct.
Sir,
Yeah, offline people also facing that kind of issue. That's the reason I came to know. So please change the file name, and so with that it will work for you also.
Sir,
Yeah,
here
please.
series is one of the concept, right? So I'm creating a series table. While creating, I'm giving the data frame as series. It will work. I'm getting it wrong.
Okay, can you please repeat the question?
I'm creating series table, sir.
Creating
I
series is
gave,
a column only. Okay.
yeah, create. I'm giving data frame name as series.
You are giving data frame name as series. Okay, we should not be able to give the data frame name as series, and give it as a series 1 otherwise.
Okay.
Series 1 or series 2, because series is a kind of a method. We cannot able to pass the method names as a variable name, or we cannot able to pass keyword names as a variable name. So for that reason, give the suffix or prefix as a 1 or 2. With that it will work. Okay. Okay. Now just observe here, Andy. So what I wanted to hear is, after reading the data on top of my CSV file, I want to perform few operations on top of the CSV file. Just observe. Now, if you see here, in this CSV file, I am displaying the data. After completion of the class, I will share the CSV file, and by using the CSV file, what we can do, we can able to create the data frame. Now, if you observe the data in the data frame, in the customer ID column, if you see, we are having some null values. Here I'm having the null value, and here also I'm having the null value. Now, my requirement is, in whatever the rows we are having the null values, I want to ignore those 2 records from the table. In whatever the rows we are having the null value, from that row, I want to ignore those 2 records, and I want to populate only the remaining records. And indirectly, what I'm doing here, I am controlling the operations on top of your table. So far, we are discussing about how to create the data frame by using the file. Now, what I'm telling here, after creation of the data frame or after creation of the table, I want to perform the data control operations on top of your table. Here, requirement is, here we are having the 2 rows, last 2 rows. These last 2 rows are having the null values. Whatever the rows are having the null values, I want to skip all those rows while displaying the data. So for the purpose of doing that operation, what we can do here is, just observe. See, so here we are having a method called as a drop NA. So NA is nothing but whenever you want to drop the null values on top of your data, then simply we can able to use the function called as a drop NA method. By using this function, what we can do here, we can able to skip the null values on top of your data. Now, if you observe, first, what is the data frame I'm creating? I am creating the data frame called as a DF data frame. Now on top of what we are creating this data frame, on top of my CSV file, I am creating this data frame. If you see the data for this one, see in the customer ID here, do we have any data? We don't have any customer ID. For that reason only, as part of displaying this data in the tabular format, we are getting the value as a null value. In the same way, coming to grade, if you observe, we are given the comma and comma. In between the comma, are we giving any value? No. For that reason, it is taken this value is nothing but the null value. Indirectly, in the table, we are in the file, we are having the blank values. On top of this file, we are going to create the data frame. Once we are going to create the data frame, as part of displaying the data, what's happening? All the blank values are displaying it as a null values. Now, my requirement is, on top of the table, I want to skip the null rows and I want to display the only remaining values. For that reason, here what is the function we can able to use? We can able to use the function called as a drop NA function. With the help of this drop NA function, we can able to skip the null rows on top of your data frame. Now, if you see in this example, what I'm doing is, I am creating a separate data frame called as a data frame 1. Now, you tell me, in this data frame, what's happening? In the first data frame, we are getting all the rows. Okay. Now coming to data frame 1, what I'm doing here, I am applying the function called as a drop NA, which is nothing but we are skipping the null values. On top of that, we are going to create the one more data frame. Now you try to give the answer. This printdf and this printdf1, both are going to give the same output or different output?
Different output.
This printdf and this printdf1. This printdf, what will happen? It will display all the values of your CSV file. But what about this df1? How we are creating the df1? By skipping the null rows, we are creating the one more data frame only. For that reason, with the second print statement, what will happen? We are going to get the different kind of output. Just we'll try to see that one. Next time running. Okay. If you see the first output, in the first output, total how many rows we are getting? We are getting total 11 number of rows. Total we are getting 11. Here we can able to see the null values on top of your output. But if you see the second print statement, here how many rows we are getting? We are getting only 9 rows, because in the last 2 rows we are having the null values. Because of given the drop NA, what's happening here? It is skipping those 2 rows on top of your table. With that, it is creating the one more data frame called as a data frame 1. With that, you can able to see the only 9 rows on top of your output. Okay. Now, for example, my requirement is, I don't want to delete the null values, Andy. I want to replace the null values. I want to replace all the null values with the 200 indirectly. Here, instead of getting NAN and NAN and NAN, here I want to get the values as a 200. Whenever we are having such kind of requirement, what we can do here is, we can able to give it as a this method. So what's the method we can able to use? We are using the method called as a fill NA. Fill NA is nothing but wherever we are having the null values, Andy, we are replacing all the null values with the 200. Now you try to give the answer. If I am going to give this print statement, it will give the 9 records or 11 records? It will give
records.
all the 11 records.
11
But
records.
in the last 2 records, what will happen? Wherever we are having null values, it will replace the null values with the 200. Just we'll see that. We were getting all the 11 rows. Earlier here we are having the null values. Now instead of getting the null values, we are getting the values as a 200, 200. Here also we are having null value. This also we are replacing with the 200. Like that, whenever you want to replace the null values with a particular value, then what we can do, simply we can able to give the fill NA method. With the help of this method, we can able to replace all the null values with a particular value. Now tell me indirectly, with the help of the drop NA or with the help of the fill NA, indirectly what operations we are doing? We are performing the data manipulation operations, and we are removing the null values or we are replacing the null values by depending on our requirement. For the purpose of doing all these operations, what we are doing here, first we are creating the data frame. How we are creating the data frame? With the help of Pandas module. In the Pandas module, which method we are using here? Read underscore CSV method. By using this method, we are reading the data from the CSV file. Indirectly, we are converting file data into the tabular format. After converting the data into the tabular format, on top of that, we can able to control the null values or we can able to fill the null values by depending on our requirement. Now, in the same way, just observe here. Now, any guesses what we are doing in this example? Just see the line of the code and try to
Customer ID,
understand.
we are filling it with only customer ID. We are filling it with
Yes, so
500.
see here, earlier what I'm doing here, if I'm given the fill in A, in all the table, in the complete table for each and every column, it is replacing null value with the 200. But my requirement is only in the customer ID column, I want to replace null values with the 500. That is my requirement, Andy. Not in the complete table. In a particular column, I want to replace null values with the 500. Whenever we are having such kind of requirement, then we have to specify the column name like this. On top of DM, I want to retrieve data from only customer ID column. In this customer ID column, I want to replace null values with the 500. So if you are having such kind of requirement, we can able to give it as df of customer ID dot fill NA of 500. Now, what is the meaning of this line? In the customer ID column, wherever we are having null values, it will replace only those null values with the 500. Now, you tell me, if I'm going to give the print of df3, how many columns it will display? Any guesses?
11.
If I'm given the print of df3, how many columns? I'm not asking the number of rows only. I'm asking the number of columns.
Only customer ID.
It will
Only
display
one
only
column,
one column
customer
because
ID.
this data frame we are creating on top of one more data frame. But from this data frame, we are retrieving all the columns, or we are retrieving only one column? We are retrieving only one column. In that column, I want to replace null values with the 500. For that reason, if I am going to give the print of df3, what will happen? Just observe. It is giving data for only single column, but in this single column, it is replacing all the null values with the 500. Like that, either you can able to control the operations on top of the complete table, or we can able to perform the controlling the operations on top of your particular column by depending on our requirement only. So like this, we can able to perform different kind of operations. Just I will show you one more example. If you see, in these two rows, what we are having, just observe. In the 8th row and 9th row, what we are having?
Same
It's
column
a kind of
name.
a complete duplicate data, and both the rows are having the complete duplicate values. Now, my requirement is I want to ignore all these kind of duplicate values. If you want to ignore the null values, what we are doing? We are using the method called as a drop NA. In the same way, if you want to ignore the duplicate values, and then we are having the one more method called as nothing but, see the method. We are having drop underscore duplicates method. With the help of this method, what we can do here, we can able to remove the duplicates on top of your data. Now you tell me, if I am going to give the drop underscore duplicates, and if I am given the print of df4, now how many records we are going to get? Any guesses?
9.
9 or 10?
10. Only
10.
one
Will
duplicate
give
record.
the 10 records only. What is happening here? If there is any duplicate record, it is converting that duplicate record as a only single record. For that reason, if I am going to run this one, what will happen? It will display total 10 records. We'll see that. Yeah, please.
Instead of giving backward slashes, so we need to give forward. It's not working backward slashes.
No, give the forward. So whatever the way it is working, you can do it in the same way. No, for me, it's working with a backward slash. If it is working for you as a forward slash, you can do it as a forward slash. No issues. Okay. Now see here. Earlier we are having the 3019 2 times, but now we are getting the 3019 only one time only. So this is the way what we can do here. Earlier we are having the 8 and 9, but now what's happening here? 9th record was removed because of given the drop duplicate. If you observe 8, 9, 10, 11, but it is not displaying the 9th record. What's the reason? It removed the duplicate value on top of this table. For that reason, it is showing it as a 8th record. At the same time, it is displaying the 10th record. In between 9th record, we are having the duplicate. Because of given the drop underscore duplicate, what's happening here? It is removing the duplicate value on top of your data. With that, we are seeing the only 10 values on top of your output. You can able to get the question. Sir, it is showing 11. Why you are saying it as a 10? See here, it is showing 11, but 8. What is missing here? 9 is missing only because 9th row is nothing but it's a kind of a duplicate row. For that reason, that record is skipping. By skipping that row, it is displaying the remaining rows on top of your output. Like that, with the help of the drop duplicates, what we can do here, we can able to control the duplicates on top of your data. Now in the same way, just I will show you one more last example here.
Can't we change these rows in dimension tables? We are using by using surrogate key. We changed these rows right in series.
Can you please come again?
like in data warehousing, dimensional tables, by using surrogate key, we changed the series for eliminating duplicates.
No, why we are using the surrogate key in the data warehousing?
No, surrogate keys.
Yeah, surrogate key. That's my
Yeah,
question. What is the purpose of
displaying the
surrogate key?
series numbers.
For the purpose of displaying the sequence values and to overcome the duplicate issue on top of your type 2 dimensional table, we are going to use the surrogate key. In the surrogate key, we can able to get the sequence values. But how we are going to populate the surrogate key in the SQL side or database side? By using the row number, we are going to populate the surrogate key. But coming to here, are we using the SQL or are we using the Pandas here? We are using the Pandas. With the help of the Pandas, without using the row number, by default, it is going to populate these kind of sequence values on top of your output. Now, please continue with your question. Now, what is your question?
So we cannot change it, right?
Which one? This one you're saying? These values we cannot able to change because it is not in our control. And your data frame by default it is populating all these values. This is not in our control. For that reason, we cannot able to change these values.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now see here in the same way, for example, your requirement is you want to apply the condition on top of a particular column. Generally in the SQL query, what we can do, we can give it as select star from table. We are given the condition as where column name is equal to some value we are giving, right? So this is the way we can able to give the conditions on top of our SQL query. In the same way, on top of data frame also we can able to apply the condition. But whenever you want to apply the conditions, Andy, just we can able to give it as your data frame name of your column name, which is equal to your particular value, whatever the value you want to apply in the condition. That condition we have to pass like this. We are giving df4. In the df4, we are given the column name is nothing but our cust name column. For this cust name column, we are given the equal to condition with the James Hoogandi, which is nothing but from this table, I want to fetch data for only the employees or only the customers whose customer name is equal to James underscore Hoog. For that reason, we can able to apply the condition like this. After that, you can able to run this. Now, if you see what's happening, we are getting the data for only James underscore Hoog on top of your output. Previous statement, it is given the data for after removing all the duplicates and on top of the data frame, we are applying the one more filter condition. What is the filter condition we are applying? Customer name should be James Hoog. For that reason, it is giving only one record on top of your output because out of all these 10 records, we are having the only one customer with this name. For that reason, it is giving only one record on top of your output. Now, by seeing all these examples, what we need to understand mainly? We need to understand by using the Pandas, we can able to create the data frame. After creation of the data frame, what we can do here on top of the data frame, we can able to perform the data manipulation operations by depending on our requirement. Now, by seeing all these examples, what examples we covered on the data manipulation side? One is how to control null values. Second one, how to replace the null values. Third one, how to handle the duplicate records. Fourth one, how we can able to apply the conditions on top of your data frame. All these are falling under the data manipulate operations, and indirectly with the help of the Pandas, we can able to create the data frame. On top of data frame, we can able to perform the data manipulate operation. For that reason, at the beginning we discussed what is the purpose of Pandas. Where we are going to use the Pandas module for the purpose of doing analysis on data or for the purpose of doing manipulations on top of data. We are going to use the Pandas, but directly we are going to perform all these operations or what we are doing mainly here. On top of Pandas, indirectly we can able to say data frame is a kind of a main concept, and because in Pandas, most of the operations we are going to perform on the data frame only. Now, what is the data frame? Now you should be in the position to give the answers. What's a data frame? It's a kind of a table, or we can able to say with the help of the data frame, we are representing all the data in the two-dimensional format, or we are representing all the data in the tabular format. After creation of the data frame, then what we can do here on top of the data frame, either we can able to perform analysis operations or we can able to perform the manipulation operations by depending on our requirement. But you tell me, if you are going to work in the real-time projects, generally, who will perform the analysis operations?
Data analyst.
We can able to say our business people or our data analyst or ML people, machine learning people, and or we can able to say our data scientist people. If you are going to work as a machine learning engineer in the real time, most of the time as a machine learning engineer, they are going to work on the Pandas module, and we are having the one more module called as a NumPy module. And on top of these two modules, ML people, or we can able to call it as a machine learning engineers, are going to work mostly on the Pandas and NumPy module, because by using the Pandas, we are discussing about only the topics which are related to the data engineering side. Don't think that in the Pandas we can able to perform only these manipulations only. We are having the hundreds of manipulations in the Pandas, but all those operations are going to use by our machine learning people or our data scientist people, because by using all those other methods, we can able to perform the analysis operations on top of our data. But in general, in the real time, who is going to perform the analysis? Our data analyst people or machine learning people or data scientist people, they are going to perform the analysis on top of the data. For that reason, as a machine learning people, they need to have end-to-end knowledge on top of the Pandas and but as a data engineer, you need to have knowledge on the basic concepts. What is Pandas? In Pandas, what is the meaning of data frame? How to create the data frame? On top of data frame, what operations we can able to perform? This is the knowledge required as a data engineer in our real-time projects. Okay. Any questions up to here again? Please ask me.
Sir, regarding this drop in even if it has a row has a single null value, it is gonna.
It is removing
drop
complete row. Even in a row, if a particular column itself having the null value, it is going to remove the complete row.
And here, in terms of fill NA, in the replacing null values with default values for specific columns, DF3. Yeah, there it is showing the only single column, right?
Yeah, it is showing only single column, but if you want to see the complete table, then we have to do like this: DF3 bracket. So, for example, here, if you want to see the complete data, you can give something like this: DF3. So you are performing this operation on top of DF. Give like this. So we are applying the condition. This condition we are applying on top of this DF data frame. So we have to give it as DF of within the square brackets. We are applying this entire condition. With that, you can able to see the complete data frame by depending on your question.
So it is something like the last one, right?
Yeah, correct.
Condition.
Yes, correct. Here also we did the same thing.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other questions before
Sir,
moving forward?
what is this DF? I forgot, sir. Data after data frame we mentioned one DF.
It's a data frame name only. So it's a
After-
variable name.
In DF2 equal to DF dot fill NA. What is that DF?
This one.
This DF2 equal to DF dot.
For the purpose of replacing null values only. So in the table you are having the null values. You want to replace all the null values with a particular value, then we can able to go for the fill NA.
I understand. So this DF I'm asking.
This is the data frame. See, first what we are doing here, by reading the data from the CSV file, I'm creating a data frame. On top of that data frame, we are performing this operation.
Okay.
It's clear? So first, what is the first step here? What is the primary step? First, we are reading the data from the CSV file. After reading the data from the CSV file, we are creating a data frame called as a DF. That is the name of the data frame. On top of this data frame, we are filling all the null values with the 200. With that operation, I'm going to create the one more data frame called as a DF2. Is it clear? Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, please.
Sir, part of the things we've done, we are working on the things, get the data, right? But it is not physically impact on the file. Correct, sir?
It's not going to do any kind of changes on top of your file. Whatever the operations we are doing, we are performing all the operations on top of your data frame only. Now, for example, your requirement is after doing all these operations, you want to load the data into your one more file. For example, just observe here. So here what I'm doing is, in this example, what I'm doing is first I'm creating a data frame by reading the data from the CSV file. After that, I am filling all the null values with the 200. With that, I am creating the one more data frame. Now my requirement is, after replacing all the null values with the 200, whatever the data we are getting, I want to load the data into the one file. Then what we can do here is, just give it as like this: df2 dot to underscore CSV.
Text.
I'm giving the path of the file. So now indirectly, if I'm going to give like this, what will happen? So far, we are creating the data frame, just we are displaying the data frame in the output. But my requirement is, instead of displaying the data in the output, I want to write that entire data into the one more file. Whenever you want to perform the write operations, here we can able to use the function called as a to_CSV. So with that, we can able to perform the write operation. Just we'll see that what will happen. See, it created the file. Just we'll go to this path. Okay, so see here, we given the name as a customer_LO1.csv. That is the file created. If you are going to see this data in the file, see, earlier we are having the null values here. Now it is replacing all the values with the 200. Indirectly, if you are creating the data frame and if you are given the print of df, it is replacing the values only in the output. But if your requirement is you want to replace all the null values with the 200, after that you want to load the data again into the one more file, then what we can do here, indirectly we are going to perform the write operation. By using this statement, what I am doing, Andy? I am performing the read operation. Now, after doing all the operations on top of data frame, if you want, what we can do here, we can able to perform the write operation also. But if you want to perform the write operation, here we can able to use the one more method called as a to_CSV method. With the help of this method, you can able to perform the write operation. Now, for example, if I'm not giving this line of statement, what will happen? We can able to see only the changes in the output screen. Physically, nothing is happening, Andy. Only in the output, we can able to see all the changes. But if you want to store all the changes, then we need to perform the write operation like this. With the help of this write operation, you can able to store all the changes on top of your file by depending on our requirement. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sir, how to insert a total record, sir?
Sorry, how to insert?
Total record, one record.
Yeah, you can give it as a to_. From where to where you want to insert?
In the file.
In the file you want to insert. What that mean indirectly?
Hence, we will create a data frame. In the data frame, we need to insert a record and we need to save that one with a separate name.
No, you want to create a data frame. How you want to create the data frame? By reading the data or by using the dictionary? How you want to create the data frame?
By reading the data.
Reading the data from CSV file. Okay, what next?
Next, we need to insert a record, total record. Like we updated below, like null value to 200. In that case, we will insert a total. Like we in the SQL insert into.
You want to insert a record on top of your data frame you're asking, right? So indirectly, what we can here is again you have to create a dictionary. And the above example, if you remember what we did in the first example, we created the dictionary, and whenever we are going to create the data frame, it is creating the data frame on top of dictionary, right? In the same way, just you have to create a data frame with the help of the dictionary. Then you need to combine the previous data frame with this data frame. With that, you can able to insert record on top of your data frame. So first, whatever the values you want to insert, all those values you need to store in one dictionary. On top of the dictionary, you can able to create the one more data frame. Then you can able to combine the previous data frame and new data frame. With that, you can able to insert one value on top of your existing data frame. Okay.
Yes, sir. We need to create two data frames and we need to
correct.
combine.
We need to create the two data frames and we need to merge the both the data frames.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions up to here? Okay, if no question, just I want to show you one last example, Andy. So in this last example, what I will do here is, so far we are discussing about how to read the data from the CSV file. If you want, what we can do here is, we can able to read the data from the JSON file also. So if you see here, I'm having a JSON file called as a sample.json. Now in this JSON file, so see here, this is the data we are having. So we are having the courses, we are having some values, we are having duration, and we are having some values. We are having the jobs, and we are having some values. So like this, we are having some data in the JSON file. Now, I want to read the data from this JSON file, and I want to display this whole data in the tabular format. For the purpose of doing this operation in the Pandas side, again, it's very simple operation. Now, what is the method we are using? Read_. JSON. If you want to read data from the CSV file, we are using the method called as a read underscore CSV. In the same way, if you want to read the data from the JSON file, you can able to use the method called as a read underscore JSON. Here we have to give the path of the file. After that, everything is common, and you need to import the module, you need to create the data frame, and you need to print the data frame. All these operations are same. I will run this once. Now see what's happening. First output, it is displaying total 3 records. From where all these records are coming? From the JSON file, all these records are coming. With that, you are displaying the data in the tabular format. After that, I'm giving the head of one and I'm giving the tail of one. With that, it is given the top one record and it is given the last one record. This is the way we can able to read the data from the JSON file by depending on the requirement. As I told you earlier, by depending on our requirement, either you can able to read data from the CSV file, or we can read data from JSON file, or we can able to read data from HTML file. Like that, you can able to read the data from the different types of the files by depending on our requirement. With that, you can able to create the data frames. After that, on top of that data frame, you can able to perform all the required operations. And this is the way we need to understand how we can able to read the data from different types of the files by using the Pandas. Okay. Now, after completion of this class, what I will do here is I will share this script file. First one. Second one, I will share CSV file, whatever I showed you in the class. Third one, I will show you JSON file. I will share all these 3 files to you, Andy. The script file, CSV file, and JSON file. By using all these files, try to do the practice on top of these Pandas, Andy, because in the afternoon class, we are going to discuss about how to handle GCS objects with Python. This is the one of the concept. And second concept, what we'll do here is we'll discuss about how to read data from GCS files by using Pandas. So this is the topic we are going to cover as part of our afternoon session. So far, we are reading the data from the file, but where we are having all these files? In the GCS or in our local system? In our local system. But in the afternoon, whatever the examples we are going to discuss all the examples from the GCS files, and indirectly by using the Python, we are going to connect with the GCS. With that, we are going to perform the operations on top of the GCS. In the same way, we are going to discuss about by using the Pandas, how to read the data from the GCS file, or by using the Pandas, how to write the data into the GCS bucket. Those topics we are going to cover as part of our afternoon session. But if you want to understand those topics, what's the prerequisite? First, we need to understand what operations we can able to perform by using the Pandas, and you need to understand all the examples, whatever we discussed in the current session. With that, our afternoon session will becomes as a very, very easy to understand, Andy, because once we are having knowledge on the Pandas, here what we are doing, here also we are doing the same operation. Only thing is nothing but instead of doing those operations on the local file, we are going to perform all the operations on the GCS file. For that reason, if you want to understand afternoon class properly, please complete the practice for all these examples by afternoon. With that, you can able to easily understand what we are going to cover as part of our afternoon session. Is it clear? Okay. Okay, then that's all from my side. I will share all this information in the mail, sorry, in the Infinity. Please do the practice on all these things.
Sir, hello.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir. In terms of read, the DF is it a data frame or is it a simple?
Just
variable?
1 second. Just 1 second, Andy. Yeah, people who don't have the questions, you can leave for the day. Offline people, leave in the sense you can able to leave the class. Online people, you also can able to drop. Yeah, no, please continue. Someone is asking the question.
Yes, sir. In terms of read, the DF, is it storing just the data or is it a data frame by itself?
It's a data frame, Andy. So data frame is nothing but it's storing internally in the RAM memory. It's not storing physically. So for example, if you see this line of the code, what we are doing in this line of the code, you are reading the data from the CSV file and you are creating a data frame. Now in this data frame, whatever the data we are having, that data is not storing physically. That's the data is storing in the internal memory, which we can able to call it as a RAM memory.
Yes, sir. So in terms of read JSON, why you applied again the data frame operation?
This one?
Yes, sir.
So here what will happen is first we are reading all the JSON file into the dictionary format. On top of that dictionary, we are applying the data frame. So coming to read CSV is a kind of a direct operation. Coming to JSON is not a kind of a straightforward operation. First, we are reading all the data in the dictionary format. By using that dictionary, we are going to create the data frame by using this line of the code.
So because of the similarity between JSON and dictionary, it
Yes.
converts itself into dictionary. Then
Yes, correct. Correct.
Okay.
Okay, indirectly by using this line, it's creating a JSON dictionary. On top of that JSON dictionary, we are going to create the data frame by using the method called as a data frame method.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Real time how to debug Python.